There comes a moment when silence speaks louder than words, not the brittle silence of punishment, but the holy quiet that comes when a soul knows it is done explaining itself. It was the day she walked away, not out of anger, not in rebellion, but with the serene gravity of a woman who has realized she does not need to be understood to be free. For months, perhaps years, he had searched for his reflection in her eyes. Every touch, every question, every pause, all of it was a silent request. Tell me, I am enough. At first, she mistook this for intimacy, but love, when asked to fill an emptiness it did not create, becomes a slow theft. It drains not in storms, but in drops. Each moment she gave reassurance he had not earned. Each time she carried the weight of fears he refused to name. Maslow spoke of needs stacked like a mountain. He had never climbed his own. And so he tried to leap from insecurity to love without building the steady ground beneath. She felt it, the hollow in his embrace, the unspoken bargain in his gaze. Stay, so I don't have to meet myself. There is a kind of grief that has no funeral. It comes the day a woman realizes she has been loved, not for who she is, but for the safety she provides. Every apology was a truce, not a transformation. Every promise was a pause before the cycle began again. And slowly, she began to see he wasn't loving her. He was trying to survive through her. True boundaries rarely shout. They arrive quietly, like a tide pulling back from the shore. She no longer rushed to answer every call. She stopped turning her own exhaustion into proof of devotion. She let his storms rage without stepping into the rain to hold the umbrella. It was not cruelty. It was clarity. The knowing that rescuing him kept him from rescuing himself. And, for the first time, she allowed the discomfort of his disappointment to be his own. He noticed before he understood. The way her laughter no longer reached for him. The way her presence no longer leaned forward, eager to soothe. Her energy had shifted, pulled back into the wellspring of her own life. In Maslow's terms, she had moved from the need for belonging to the need for esteem, and from esteem into the rare air of self-actualization. She no longer needed his approval to feel whole. She was not seeking to be chosen. She was choosing herself. He reached for her with the desperation of a man sensing the ground disappear beneath his feet. But this was not the urgency of love. It was the terror of losing an anchor he had never learned to be for himself. She met that panic with stillness, the kind of stillness the Stoics called strength, not the absence of feeling, but the mastery of it. Once, she had mistaken his desperation for passion. Now, she could see it for what it was, a plea for her to remain the scaffolding for a house he would never build. The day she walked away was not dramatic. No slammed doors, no declarations, only the sound of her steps meeting the earth, a rhythm steady enough to carry her back to herself. She was not leaving a man. She was leaving the roles he had placed in her hands: savior, mother, translator of emotions he refused to learn. Some departures are not about leaving, but about arriving. She arrived in a place where love was not measured by how much pain she could endure, where connection did not demand the abandonment of self, where worth was not borrowed from someone else's recognition. The woman who no longer waits is not angry. She is simply full. If you have ever felt the quiet power of walking away without explaining yourself, remember, you are not cold. You are whole. And wholeness does not beg. Subscribe to Maslow World, for more stories of feminine strength, healing, and the psychology of becoming untouchable.